Jai Prabhuji. Hello everyone and welcome to the Retroprogressive Institute. My name is Radha Devi and I am a monastic disciple of Prabhuji. This class marks the beginning of the course on Prabhuji's book, Tantra, Liberation in the World. Today we will aim to understand what Tantra is, what is the structure of the book, and consequently what's going to be the structure of the course. And I am using the word aim because I think it will take us the whole book or even more than that in order to understand what Tantra really is. If you didn't see the book, I would like to show it to you. This is the book, and it is my recommendation, my invitation for you to get the book. The course will never replace, or it's not exchangeable, the direct association with the book itself. During this course, we're going to take different sentences, different paragraphs, and different sections of the book, and we are delving into them, exploring, expanding them. So by no means the course is going to replace what you're going to get when you associate directly with the book. Something else that it is very important to establish from the beginning of the course on this beautiful path in relation to Prabhuji is that, first of all, I refer to him as a person, as a seeker, and not just a master. We all know that throughout his life, since his mystical experience at the age of 8, he has been a spiritual seeker. Therefore, he has explored and investigated many religions, spiritual paths, philosophies, etc. Over the year, as is well known, he has become a master of bhakti yoga, raya yoga, jnana yoga, etc. with their respective gurus. Then later on, he was also transmitted the wisdom to become a tantric master. This happened at a certain moment in India with his Tantra teacher, Her Holiness Mataji Rina Sharma, in a moment that could be called mystical or meditative, on which I don't want to expand here, but she transmitted the revelation on Tantra. She transmitted the revelation of Tantra to him from soul to soul. And he explains in different occasions something like at certain moment, Mother Durga and Mother Kali revealed in his heart the eternal wisdom of Tantra. Therefore, Prabhuji shares Tantra from a revelation, and later we're going to hear more about what we mean with revelation. So, as a tantric master, obviously he sparked controversy in his time, especially during the 80s and the 90s, when Tantra was still conceived with this Judeo-Christian attitude as heresy, or at least it was extremely controversial knowledge or wisdom. So this was also the case in different generations in the India, as well as we will learn later in classes of the section of the development on Tantra, but it was very especially in the West, where accustomed to another concept of religion based on sin, they could not assimilate a wisdom like Tantra Yoga. But undoubtedly, what must be well established is that Prabhuji has been and is, among other disciplines, a master of Tantra. Now that we have this well established, something that always catches my attention is the book's subtitle, Liberation in the World. To truly understand it, I think we will need to study the term liberation, and we could dedicate an entire course only delving into its meaning. But I can assure you that as we progress throughout the course and by the end of the class, we will better understand and we will have more clarity why this subtitle was chosen. Tantra refers to a very diverse corpus of scriptures, techniques, rites, and teachings. It is hard to define because of its wisdom's multifaceted mystical nature. Nobody knows its age with certainty, but like the Vedas, it is considered eternal. It was cultivated and practiced in areas where Brahmanism was less influential, such as northwestern India, Bengal and Assam in the east, and Andhra in the south. Subsequently, Tantrism expanded, influencing not only Buddhism and Jainism, but each and every major religion of the world. These words that we just read are found in the beginning of the introduction. The first thing that I want us to note is the fact that it's speaking as of a revelation, what I just mentioned before. The revelation in the context of Tantra refers to spiritual knowledge that is transmitted directly from the divine or the transcendental. This knowledge does not originate from human reflection, but comes from higher sources or a superior consciousness. Therefore, we have what we call the rishis or seers. They do not formulate the revelation, but they observe and transmit it as they receive it. In the tantric tradition, these seers act like a channel of spiritual knowledge that is considered, as we mentioned, to be revealed from the divine or the transcendental. This direct and faithful transmission is crucial to preserving the integrity and the authenticity of tantric teachings over time. Then another aspect that is going to help to maintain this integrity is that in Tantra, this knowledge is transmitted from generation to generation through a disciple succession that is called parampara. Each master, guru, personally transmits the knowledge to their disciple, who in turn becomes a master and continues the chain of transmission. This is when the disciple is blessed, authorized from its master to become a master himself or herself. This disciple succession is also crucial in Tantra because it not only preserves textual teachings and rituals, ritual practices, but also conveys the spiritual essence and its deep meaning that we find behind them. Thus, this revealed knowledge is going to remain authentic and effective for spiritual liberation as it was originally intended. Next, we have in this paragraph that we just read a part where it is explained why defining Tantra is so difficult. And it says that this window comprises a very diverse set of scriptures, techniques, and also rituals. And this is something that we're going to learn throughout the course. Specifically in the section on the development of Tantra, we will note how each path can vary significantly from the previous and then the next. We are going to see how in the West the term Tantra has often been misunderstood and sometimes even condemned, but this is due to a lack of understanding of its true meaning and values, which, as we all know, differ considerably from Eastern ones. It is crucial to remember that Tantra is not just a philosophy, but is experiential practice that emphasizes direct self-knowledge. This is something that we're going to listen throughout the whole course, how for the Tantra it's very important but even more important, the practice than the theory. I always remember this phrase that Prabhuji shares in one of his books about Swami, this brilliant master saint, Swami Vishnu Devananda, how he said, a drop of practice it's worth more than 1,000 of theory. And it comes to show us how important sādhanā, the practice, is, right? We have Yoga Vidya, Brahma Vidya, and it's showing us specifically in the path of Tantra how Yoga Vidya has a very important role. Then one aspect that is going to arouse a lot of curiosity in the West is the role of sex in Tantra. From the Tantric perspective, sex is not merely a physical activity, but a powerful tool for self-knowledge and spiritual development. Tantra recognizes sexual energy as one of the most potent forces in the human being. And unlike other traditions that may repress this energy, Tantra seeks to channel it and use it for spiritual growth. It is essential to understand that in Tantric context, sex is not given this exaggerated importance. In many Western interpretations, undue emphasis is placed on it, distorting its true purpose. In Tantra, sex is simply part of the path of liberation and self-knowledge and not an end in itself. I remember having different conversations with Prabhuji, and we're going to see it in the book, how sex is basic in Tantra, and it's not related to this genitalism, but more about sexuality. And this sexuality is more an attitude of life. And I would like us to read what we find in the book, which is clarifying and giving us a better vision of the role of the sex in Tantra. Tantra is often misunderstood as a system for increasing sexual pleasure. Some perceive it as a justification for a life of debauchery and promiscuity. However, although sex is part of Tantric sadhana, it is a preparatory practice and not the final goal. Tantra includes sex because it is impossible to access the elevated if the basic is ignored. So here we see this small paragraph is showing a lot of the Tantric attitude, which is unconditional acceptance, and we're going to read something else at the end of our class that is going to show us and enrich us even more in regards to this attitude of the Tantra. So it's telling us we cannot ignore the basic, we cannot repress it, hide it, ignore it, act like it's not there. So in turn, we're going to use it. It's something basic, preparatory, as it was said in this paragraph. We're going to use it for the realization of ourselves, but do not use it to promote this life of promiscuity, debauchery, and to fall on it. But we're going to use it for our self-realization. Another fundamental concept that we find in the Tantra is handling of desire. And unlike the notion of repressing or eliminating desire, and probably you are already understanding more in regards to this path, Tantra recognizes it as a natural and essential force that can be transformed and used to prepare the conditions in order to achieve enlightenment. I prefer not to use the word achieve, because enlightenment is not something that we can achieve, but I will say in order to receive enlightenment, it's something that is donated. So through the desire, we can use it in different practices in order to prepare these conditions, because it's something that we are going to listen very much in all the courses that we're going to have. We had our course in Kundalini Yoga, and it was something that we mentioned very frequently, and it's something that we're going to see here because it's very part also of the retroprogressive path, to understand and to realize how enlightenment the realization of what we really are is not something that we can achieve, or it's not something that we can do certain techniques in order to realize ourselves, in order to know what we really are, but it's something that we received, and this is why I decided to explain why it's not something achievable. Tantra is inviting us to understand about the desire, that this is an integral aspect of our human experience. So instead of resisting it, it's teaching us to accept it, to see it, to understand it as a powerful tool for realizing our true self. And by consciously working with desire, we can learn to channel this very powerful energy constructively and transformatively also. This attitude of unconditional acceptance is very fundamental in Tantra. It is not about denying parts of ourselves, but integrating and using all of our energies and different potentials for our spiritual growth. Thus, Tantra is going to offer a holistic and positive perspective towards desire, using its power as a pathway to self-realization and expanded consciousness. What I would like us to see now is how this work is divided, and it's divided into 4 main sections, which we will preserve in the structure of our course. And now I would like us to see only a small summary of what each one is about. Then throughout our classes, we're going to deepen into each one of it. This is only an overall view of what can we find in these sections of the books. The first one is the Tantric vision. In this initial section, we will explore Tantra's unique worldview and the fundamental principles that underpin it. We have here the exploration of the Shiva and Shakti polarity. We will understand these non-duality forms, the basis of many practices and philosophies within Tantra. Tantric metaphysics. We will investigate key metaphysical concepts of Tantra, including the conception of the universe, divinity, and the relationship between the manifested and the unmanifested. We continue with the second section of the book, which is the development of Tantra. Here we will trace the historical evolution and the diversification of Tantra over time. This is also the biggest section of the book. Historical evolution. From its origin in ancient India to its development and expansion through different traditions and cultures. Diversity of schools and traditions. We will explore the various tantric currents such as Ati Marga, Mantra Marga, and Kula Marga, and others, each with its own distinctive practices and teachings. Then we have the third section of the book, which is called Tantric Scriptures. This section is going to provide us a very detailed review of fundamental tantric texts and their importance within the tantric corpus. Analysis of the agamas, their relationship with the Vedas, and the themes covered in them. Review of a specific text, such as the Shaiva Tantras, Shakta Tantras, and Vaishnava Tantras, and others, exploring their teachings and practical applications. The last section of the book is called Tantric Practice. Finally, we're going to be delving into techniques and rituals that are an integral part of different tantric practices. Understanding the place of the body in this path, the essential elements for undertaking tantric sādhanā, such as accepting a guru, yantras, and mantras. Type of sādhanā and tantric ritualism. Then we have the epilogue of the book, which is titled Tantra and Sexuality, and we will also have a class where we will explore it in detail. I would like us to conclude by reading some words that are found in the section of the Tantric Vision which is after the introduction, and is showing the necessary attitude to undertake this path. And it says, Tantra is the path of unconditional acceptance par excellence. It begins with accepting the egoic inner movement and ends with recognizing our true nature. It begins by acknowledging what we believe we are and concludes by embracing what we really are. If we denounce the egoic state, we block access to our divine nature. No development is possible without admitting our reality. Human nature cannot be transcended if it is rejected and ignored. The more we repress things, the more our attraction towards them increases, because denial intensifies temptation. Any kind of condemnation, negation, or rejection detains and paralyzes us. Negating the mind produces mental paralysis. Denying sensitivity atrophies the faculty of comprehension. Human nature will continue to act desiring, entreating, and demanding, but it will be insensitive and devoid of awareness. Understanding stems from observation without resisting, ignoring, repressing, or rejecting. Only as a witness of actions can comprehension be born. It is impossible to know that which is ignored, rejected, or repulsed. Blind repression causes stagnation and leads to obsession. You will walk at night and not appreciate the beauty of the stars. You will pass through the world without knowing its mystery. You will go through life without really living. You will move within your humanity, but guilt and repression will blur the clarity that observation can grant. This was just a small paragraph to get a taste of what this path is, and I feel it's expressing a lot. I don't want to comment it because we're going to have our class where this part of the book we're going to be exploring more in depth, so I prefer to save it for that occasion and leave you with these beautiful words, with this taste that is explaining what this path is about. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I see you in our next class. Jai Prabhuji.